Welcome to Salvation Stories, where we uncover the lives of those who changed the world through faith, compassion, and determination. Today, we bring you the extraordinary journey of a woman whose life became a beacon for millions, Mother Teresa. She has been called a saint, a servant, a symbol of compassion, and one of the most influential women of the 20th century. To some, she represents the purest form of charity. To others, a figure whose methods and philosophies sparked deep debate. This is the full story of Mother Teresa, her beginnings, her mission, her global rise, her controversies, and her enduring legacy. To understand Mother Teresa, we must return not to the crowded streets of Calcutta, but to the small Balkan city of Skopje, where N.G. Bojaxhi was born on August 26, 1910, into an Albanian Catholic family whose life was shaped by devotion, discipline, and service. Her father, Nikol Bojaxhi, was a successful businessman and a community leader. He was involved in local politics and passionately supported the national identity of the Albanian people at a time when the Balkans were undergoing intense social and political change. He was known for his generosity, often helping struggling families, advocating for local workers, and giving freely to those who had less. Her mother, Dranophile, was the heart of the household, a deeply religious woman known for her compassion. She frequently welcomed strangers, widows, and hungry travelers into their home for meals and comfort. For young NGs, charity was not taught. It was lived daily in the rhythms of family life. But childhood was not without hardship. When she was 8 years old, NG's father died suddenly after a political meeting. His death, possibly from illness but surrounded by mystery, devastated the family and forced her mother to raise 3 children alone. The loss deepened NG's bond with the church, which became both her refuge and her source of identity. By 12, she had already sensed a calling, a desire not just to pray, but to serve. She spent hours participating in church activities, singing in the choir, reading stories of missionaries, and imagining a life completely dedicated to God. Her inspiration came particularly from tales of the Loreto sisters, Catholic missionaries who served in India. At 14, she decided she wanted to join them. Her mother, though heartbroken at the idea of losing her youngest child to a distant mission, supported her decision with a simple message that would guide Mother Teresa's entire life. "My daughter, put your hand in his hand and walk with him alone." At 18, NG's left her family, never to see them again, and journeyed across Europe to Ireland, where she joined the Sisters of Loreto. There she took the name Sister Teresa, honoring Saint Teresa of Lisieux, the patron saint of missionaries. After months of preparation and learning English, the language used by the Loreto sisters, Sister Teresa sailed to India in 1929. She was only 19 when she arrived in Darjeeling, a mountain region known for its tea plantations and cooler climate. There, she studied, prayed, and trained to become a teacher. Eventually, she was sent to Calcutta, a city overflowed with beauty, culture, poverty, and human suffering. She joined St. Mary's High School for Girls as a teacher and later as the principal. Her students describe her as strict but deeply caring, and she worked tirelessly to provide education and spiritual formation to young girls, many of them from impoverished homes. But outside the school walls, Calcutta was changing. Refugee waves, political tension, famine, and disease filled the streets. Each day, Sister Teresa walked past crowded slums and felt increasingly troubled. She loved teaching, but she could not ignore the human suffering unfolding around her. In 1946, during a train ride to Darjeeling, she experienced what she would later describe as her call within a call, a profound spiritual experience that convinced her she must leave the convent school and live among the poorest individuals in the city. She believed God was asking her not to teach in a classroom, but to serve on the streets. In 1948, she received permission to leave her teaching post. Wearing a white sari with blue trim, the future uniform of her order, she stepped into the slums with almost nothing but faith and determination. From the moment Mother Teresa began her mission on the streets of Calcutta, her work attracted attention, first within India, then across continents. What started with one woman, a simple white sari, and deep faith would soon grow into a worldwide humanitarian movement that touched countless lives. In the 1950s and 1960s, India was undergoing major political and economic changes. Poverty, disease, and displacement remained daily realities for millions. Into this social landscape stepped Mother Teresa, offering not just relief, but human dignity, presence, and compassion. Her first major step was establishing Nirmal Hriday, the home for the dying, where individuals who were abandoned, critically ill, or alone could receive basic care, spiritual comfort, and a place to die with dignity. But Mother Teresa's vision extended beyond the dying. She sought to reach the most marginalized, including children, refugees, lepers, and those rejected by society. By the 1960s, she expanded her mission to include Shirshu Bhavan, a home for orphaned and abandoned children, providing shelter, education, and medical care. Kaligat Home for the Destitute, offering medical aid, hygiene services, and spiritual guidance to those suffering from disease and poverty. Mobile teams that reach the slums daily, delivering food, medicines, and comfort to those too sick or weak to travel. Programs for leprosy patients, giving not only treatment but also social acceptance, countering the stigma that isolated them from communities. Her work quickly drew international attention. Journalists and photographers captured images of her tending to the sick, holding dying children, and cleaning wounds. Simple acts that resonated globally. Volunteers began arriving from Europe, North America, and Asia to join her mission, eager to contribute to what had become a growing humanitarian network. By the late 1960s, the Missionaries of Charity expanded beyond India. Homes were opened in Venezuela, Tanzania, Rome, and later across Europe, the United States, Australia, and Africa. Each new center adhered to her guiding principles: care for the poorest, no distinction of religion or caste, and a focus on presence and compassion over material wealth. Mother Teresa's philosophy was simple yet profound. If you could not feed 100 people, then feed just one. This principle became the backbone of countless initiatives: soup kitchens, mobile clinics, care for AIDS patients, shelters for the homeless, and vocational training for women abandoned by society. In 1979, she received the Nobel Peace Prize, which catapulted her into global recognition. True to her mission, she refused a traditional banquet, asking that the prize money be given to the poor of Calcutta. Her Nobel speech emphasized not political programs, but personal responsibility, love, and small acts of kindness that ripple outward. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Mother Teresa expanded her work even further, opening homes for individuals with AIDS, challenging the widespread fear and misinformation of the time, establishing shelters for refugees in war-torn areas, including Lebanon, Somalia, and Bosnia, offering both medical care and spiritual solace, supporting leper colonies in Africa and India, ensuring patients receive proper medication and reintegration into society, initiating vocational and education programs, empowering women and children to gain skills for self-sufficiency. While Mother Teresa was celebrated worldwide as a symbol of compassion, her life and work were not without controversy. Even as she was honored with awards, including the Nobel Peace Prize, critics questioned her methods, her philosophy, and her handling of resources. One of the main points of critique was her approach to medical care. Hospitals and homes she founded often operated with minimal resources, and some observers argued that patients sometimes received inadequate pain management or basic medical treatment. Critics suggested that her focus on suffering and spiritual redemption sometimes overshadowed the importance of modern medical care. Mother Teresa was also questioned about her stance on abortion, contraception, and family planning. Firmly aligned with the teachings of the Catholic Church, she publicly opposed abortion and birth control, which sparked debate in countries struggling with poverty and overpopulation. While her supporters saw this as consistent moral leadership, detractors argued that it conflicted with practical solutions to social issues. Her financial management drew scrutiny as well. Millions of dollars flowed into the Missionaries of Charity from donations and international support. Yet some critics claimed the organization did not always use these funds transparently or invest enough in improving facilities, instead emphasizing vows of poverty and spiritual mission. In addition, some scholars and journalists questioned her public image and media portrayal. They suggested that the widespread admiration sometimes simplified complex social issues, turning suffering into an image of saintliness rather than addressing systemic problems like poverty, inequality, and government responsibility. Despite these controversies, Mother Teresa remained largely unfazed. She responded to criticism with humility and persistence, always returning to her fundamental mission, serving the poorest of the poor, regardless of recognition or approval. Interestingly, even within criticism, many acknowledge her impact and sincerity. Volunteers, patients, and countless communities attested to the life-changing difference she made. People often describe witnessing her hands-on care, her comforting presence, and her unwavering dedication, which inspired others to commit their lives to service. Her controversies did not diminish her reach. In fact, they highlighted a complex truth about humanitarian work. Even the most devoted efforts can be questioned when faced with systemic challenges, public scrutiny, and moral debates. Mother Teresa's life became a symbol not just of charity, but of the difficult balance between personal conviction and public expectation. By the 1990s, as she aged, she continued to expand her work, opening new homes in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, and addressing emerging crises, including HIV/AIDS and refugee displacement. While debate about her methods persisted, one fact remained undeniable. Her work had profound and lasting global impact, touching millions of lives and inspiring countless others to follow in her footsteps. As the years passed, Mother Teresa's fame grew, and so did the demands on her time and energy. She traveled relentlessly, visiting countries across the globe, opening new missions and meeting world leaders. Yet behind the accolades and public appearances, her life remained rooted in simplicity and prayer. Even in her later years, she continued to live modestly in her small white sari, sharing meals with the poor, walking the streets of Calcutta, and tending personally to the sick. She often said that the greatest gift one could give was time and presence, not wealth or recognition. By the early 1990s, Mother Teresa faced significant health challenges. Pneumonia, heart problems, and other ailments made travel difficult. Yet she remained committed to her work. She was often seen in a wheelchair or resting briefly between trips, yet she continued to inspire volunteers, staff, and the countless people she served. In September 1997, Mother Teresa passed away quietly in Kolkata, India, at the age of 87. Her death was met with mourning across the world. Tens of thousands lined the streets to pay tribute, and political leaders, celebrities, and citizens alike praised her dedication. Pope John Paul II called her a saintly woman of hope, and millions reflected on the lives she had touched directly and indirectly. Her funeral drew global attention, broadcast live across television networks, highlighting the profound impact one humble woman had achieved. Flags were lowered, tributes poured in, and yet she remained in memory, as much a servant as a symbol, an embodiment of compassion and action. Mother Teresa's legacy is as vast as it is enduring. By the time of her death, the Missionaries of Charity had grown to over 600 missions in 120 countries, operating homes for the dying, orphanages, schools, and clinics. She inspired countless individuals to volunteer, donate, and dedicate their lives to humanitarian service. Her work also transcended religion and nationality. People from diverse backgrounds found common ground in her message: the importance of love, care, and service to the most vulnerable. She became a moral compass for those seeking to make a difference, regardless of faith or culture. Yet Mother Teresa's story did not end with her death. In 2003, she was beatified by Pope John Paul II, a recognition of her holy life and service. Just 6 years later, in 2016, she was canonized as Saint Teresa of Calcutta by Pope Francis. Today, her feast day, celebrated on September 5th, reminds the world of her lifelong commitment to the poor, the sick, and the marginalized. Her influence also continues through modern initiatives inspired by her work. Volunteers and humanitarian organizations worldwide strive to emulate her example, emphasizing dignity, care, and empathy in addressing poverty, disease, and social neglect. Mother Teresa's life teaches that even the smallest act of love can ripple outward, creating a legacy that spans continents and generations. She has been called a saint, a servant, a symbol of compassion, and one of the most influential women of the 20th century. To some, she represents the purest form of charity. To others, a figure whose methods and philosophies spark debate. But beyond all criticism, her life stands as a testament to what faith, courage, and relentless compassion can achieve. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share.